Yeah, and I think it points up about the mother-in-law thing that, well, we had lunch with her yesterday. It used to be that everybody would hold hands around the table, except me. I kept my hands in my lap most of the time, unless I was sitting beside her. Then I would hold her hand. That was okay with me. That would work. But she doesn't even offer when we're there. I know she doesn't put her hands out like she used to. I think she's accepted it. And now with my family, there's a little bit different story. I have a brother and 5 sisters. All were brought up in the Catholic religion. My dad converted from Lutheranism to Catholicism maybe when I was about 6 or 7 years old. And however, my mom and dad, even though my mom was quite religious, and my dad, you know, I think he treated it more as a social exercise than a serious religion, but in any case, they were almost constrained, well, constrained is hardly the word, to let the children develop on their own. Having 7 kids that separated by 18 years makes it a little tough to keep tabs and control the behavior continually throughout the children's lives. So, like I said, I didn't go to church. I didn't care. I'd come home from college. I'd sleep in on Sunday mornings. I'd get up and go do something. So I knew I didn't go to church, but it wasn't until the late 90s, 2000 area, where I finally came out and basically said, no, I don't believe the crap. I'm an atheist. And at that point, it was a little bit of friction with my mother. My dad didn't seem to care a whole lot. She would keep trying to tell me to read more religious stuff and everything else, and finally it more or less disappeared from the scene. The most curious thing is that of all my brothers and sisters, at my dad's funeral a year and a half ago, not even a year and a half ago, a year and 3 months ago, that the only one of my siblings that went up to go take communion was the one that was married to a Mormon. And knowing how Mormon treat their women, it just seemed, I don't know whether she was reacting against Mormonism or simply really did still believe in Catholicism, but
she could have done that because she thought your dad would have wanted her to.
Yeah, it might have, right. None of the other kids bothered. So I was very curious. And if you're a regular viewer and you're thinking that the lighting's pretty bad here, yes, the one light for the show has gone out. The other camera is broken, and the dear people renovating the Comcast place have basically caused havoc. So we, anyhow, that was that. So my brothers and sisters know I am. My boss knows I am. He threatened to install a 10 Commandments monument in my office one time as a joke. So I don't really have problems getting along with coworkers or other people. In fact, one of my dear friends is studying all sorts of advanced Catholic doctrine out at St. Vincent's in Latrobe, and going to be consecrated of something within the next month. But he knows I'm on this side of the fence compared to his side, and we still get along. We can talk about opera and all sorts of other things like German and various other interests that we share.
I don't think having friends of all different religions causes a problem to us or the friends it's when people find out you're an atheist, but they don't already know you. You know, if they already know you, and then and what you're like, and then they find out you're an atheist, okay, that's just another component of your personality. You know, I know all kinds of people, and I'm friends with all kinds of people, and now and then we discuss religion, but it's just not a big part of, unless they have a question for me or I have a question for them about their religion, my non-religion.
Okay, so you have more on the family stuff?
Oh, a little bit, yeah. Not a lot. I like to decorate the house for the holidays, just a silly part of our marriage. But now I use non-religious decorations. So I put up flowers in the spring, beach stuff in the summer, pumpkins in the fall, snowflakes in the winter. Carl's family, all 32 of them or something, come at Christmas Eve every year, and not a one has ever asked me why we don't have a Christmas tree. Have they ever asked you? Nobody notices it, just... No.
Well, we did put one up for some time, especially when our daughter was at home. It just seemed to be okay, but I think once we put the solstice sun at the top,
it was pretty obvious.
It was pretty obvious. We had no religious decorations on the tree. Made a little difference.
When people say Merry Christmas or Happy Easter, now I do tell them I don't celebrate those holidays. I've gotten a little bit vocal about that. It seems to throw people off a little bit. They don't know what to say next, but actually nobody's ever gotten angry about it. And as Carl just mentioned, winter solstice is my favorite holiday because I like the idea of it getting lighter, the days getting longer. So yes, we do celebrate holidays, but not the religious ones. Ian.
Not in a religious context at all.
Not in any kind of a religious way.
So,
yeah. Did we want to say anything about raising our daughter?
Sure. Go ahead. You've got stuff.
I didn't print out that page.
Well, let's put it this way. For the whole time she was home, for 16 years, 15.
Yes.
15 years, the whole time she was home full time, she never saw me go to church.
That's true.
Basically.
That's true. And I took her to church. We did religious things, and it started out, I think, just we wanted her to know some of those Bible stories because they're such a big important part of culture and of literature and music and so on. So we wanted her to know those kinds of things. And I guess I got a little carried away with it in my quest to try to figure out if I was religious or not religious. But at that point when I threw down the Bible and said, I just don't believe this, this is nonsense, she said, Mom, I never believed it in the first place. So now she and her husband are in a, I guess, non-religious household. They don't go to religious services. They're not actively in a non-believer group like we are, but I don't believe either one of them believes.
No. And it's like Isaac Asimov has been quoted as saying something that a thorough knowledge of the Bible is the surest guide to atheism there is.
Yes, I think that's really true.
And I think, yes, if people read the Bible, read the Bible, and not just pick out this or that passage to say, oh, look how beautiful this is, they would realize very quickly that it is like that great-grandson or whatever, Darwin, or grandson,
great-grandson, I believe it was Darwin's great-grandson,
who wasn't introduced to the Bible at all till he was in his 20s, and then he looked at it and said, oh, this God, he's a real piece of crap, isn't he, and threw it down. He used another word that was less offensive in Britain than it is here in the United States. So, and I think that our daughter was taught to read, and she could read for herself, and she was able to get all this stuff in and realize very quickly that it really didn't make much sense.
I remember that she was supposed to start her confirmation classes before I had actually decided that I didn't believe, where I realized, and she refused to go to confirmation classes, and I wasn't sure why she was refusing.